Now, Mzansi's very own Lebo M is celebrating a major milestone. 30 years of The Lion King, and get this, he's gearing up for his first ever live concert to mark 40 years in the music industry. Aldrin Sampear sat down with the legend himself to talk about his incredible career, the new Mufasa movie, and what he's got planned for 2025. That's where I'll leave things as well then for this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsroom. But let's take a look at this.
What is it about South Africa that makes you love this country so much, with all of its complexities, but also the discourse around this country?
It's home. One, is who I am. It has defined my career path, my culture, and who I am in the bigger scheme of things in the world. I'm South African before anything else.
You're South African before anything else?
It's not like I have another choice of not loving who I am. If I don't love my country, then I don't love who I am.
Yeah. What does the country that you love so much mean to you in your mind, in your brain sometimes, when you travel the world also?
Well, I guess it depends what period where we make headlines. You know, the hardest is when you have to defend difficult political situations. You know? Because, first of all, you are known as a South African. Yes, I'm known a lot more with my work, but once the idea that I am South African comes about, and like any country in the world, at a specific time there's some negative news that comes out of the country, it tends to put you in an awkward position where having to defend or explain. But also, the flip side is I don't have a problem with that, because I get to play a role in continuing a narrative about my country, therefore a narrative about who I am and where I come from, that is contrary to, let's say, Western media or how the world views Africa through media. So I don't have a problem with that. It's just part of the journey of being who I am as a South African.
And you, 60 years, celebrating 60 years?
It's been a year of full circles. Yeah.
How's 60 years?
I have no clue. I think people think I'm making an excuse when I say, first, I can't relate to 50, so I can't relate to 60. You know what I mean?
Is it that you're growing up in reversal, that you're becoming more younger and younger? Do you feel that?
I feel a lot more energized, a lot more focused, and I can't relate to 50, but I can relate to the figure. Right? Yeah. It's been a very interesting year. My mother turned 100. On paper, I'm 60 years old. Just finished
on
10.
Paper, eh?
Yeah. Hey, I was born in apartheid, man. You don't know who made a mess. You know, I had a name, a middle name. When I went to exile, I got rid of it because I learned the story behind how that middle name came about. When I was born.
Do you want to share that middle name?
No, when I was born, a nurse gave me a name before my parents did. And, I got rid of that. No, of course, why would I tell you that name when I got rid of it?
It's a safe space. Listen, we're telling the story of Lebo M.
I got rid of that name.
So you got rid of that name. Like, gone.
It's a slave name. The idea that I know who I am is really embedded in me, not only through music. My father and my mother were singing all the time. I learned years later, after we buried my father, that actually my father was a singer. We evolved out of Alexander at the era of musicians and poets and gangsters and the whole nine yards. My father was right smack in the middle of that. No matter what, my father would have the first album of the next hit. The first time I hear my heroes' music, Ladies Smith, Black Mambas, my father used to play that a lot when I was 5, 6, 7. So all of that has had an impact on who I am in my career.
You get this call that there is going to be Mufasa the Lion King is coming. You get to be one of the only original composers from Lion King back in 1994 who gets to work on Mufasa the Lion King. Speak to us about what that moment represents for you, because I think there's a thing about longevity for me that's quite important, but also that recognizable voice. That is about to change in this movie.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
It's the most stressful. Well, I'm one of the 4 original composers of the 1994 film. and I did all the Broadway productions around the world. And as you know, I produced The Lion King South Africa. So I've been living with this property for so many years. I got that call. Apparently, I'm the first person to get the call from the head of Disney Music, and I was on tour with Hans, which was a bit interesting in a way. That the director Barry Jenkins and the songwriter Lin-Manuel insisted that the first person we want to know is in the movie is Lebo M. So it was an honor and a privilege, but I didn't know what the movie was about because I knew I had decided when I did the 2019 Lion King that I'm Lion Kinged out, I'm done. It's been a privilege, and I can't wake up and Nzansi. You know? So I was not looking forward to this project until I met the director in LA, and I learned it was a prequel. And that woke me up because to me a prequel meant a whole new movie. Yeah. Yes, it's telling the story of Mufasa and his brother from childhood. And that, to me, long before I started working on the movie, was a major attraction. Now, one of the key things that is now stressing me was, well, Mufasa can't start without Lebo M's voice, right? And then, of course, we negotiated very hard that I will then write and produce that. And fortunately, instinctively, when we got to LA and started working on a project, I was really much, again, that's where culture comes in. I've been involved in so many projects. The key project that I've been involved in is mounting my own live concert. And it's taken us almost over a decade to create that product, my first concert. So I've been very much in my South African self.
Yeah.
So when we had booked the studio for about 11 a.m., I went to the studio much earlier and hung up with the engineer, and I told him, turn off the mic, and I started writing Gomso, yeah, which again, probably is the most Xhosa lyric I've written for the biggest project of my entire life. If you listen to Mufasa, to Lion King, 1994, I took creative liberty. You know, you can't tell is it Zulu or Xhosa, Nansi Ngonyama and all of that. So at that time, I took liberty, but this time I was really focused on leaving a legacy that lasts the next 30 years. Because when I read the script and got inside the project, it's like, whoa, it's a whole new movie. So it's motivated. It's almost like 30 years later, the evolution of a new dream of the new South Africa, 30 years from now, at the same time, when I did move Lion King, it was literally at the transition just before former President Mandela becomes president. So I feel privileged that I have this huge project that it always comes at the biggest milestone. I didn't want to do any more Lion King, but Mufasa gave me the opportunity to write the key signature song that is now stressing me. I'm having sleepless nights now because now you have this legacy of the iconic Nansi Ngonyama for 30 years.
Yes.
I'm the only one that's going to be like this once the movie is now released to the world December 20th. But again, whether it hits or lands or not, I'm just privileged to be in a position to not only write Ngomso as the opening song of the new movie, but also co-write with Lin-Manuel, who's been my hero from when I first saw his project In the Heights, and now he's got Hamilton, and and we just vibed so immediately when we got into the studio. So I co-wrote and did most of the score. So I look forward to it. Yeah.
But for me, the similarities between your personal story and Mufasa's story of you ending up in the streets of Los Angeles and then becoming the Lebo M that we get to celebrate today, and you look at the story of Mufasa, do you find any relation, any connection between the story of Mufasa and Lebo M's story?
Actually, a lot more on the 1994 movie in relation to Simba.
Oh.
If you listen to the lyrics, especially for South Africans, of everything I wrote, was directly related to, I was not seeing animation cartoon characters. I saw myself in Simba, who goes to exile, hangs up with Timon and Pumbaa, and the iconic father, Mufasa, who was the Mandela for me. So when I wrote the lyrics and the melodies of the 1994, I was highly motivated by that personal contact and connect with the script and the movie. I was a lot more heavily involved in the evolution of the movie at that time than now. Now I saw the script and I was going in and out of the movie. So the continuity of this story continues to be personal. Now, when I look at the thread of the prequel of Mufasa and Scar as a kid, I can relate to that also in the sense that, not in the sense of Mufasa, right, but in the sense of how, as a South African and as South Africans, we evolve from this country and culture of political strife. I was born into political strife that has brother to brother entanglement, that has societal entanglement, and out of it comes the 1994 dispensation, and that's how then my approach in creating arrangements and co-writing the score and the songs for Mufasa comes from that. It's almost like a reversal. If it's a prequel of the movie, then my mindset, my emotions are almost like recreating a prequel of the new South Africa, but with a futuristic approach that says, how do I feel Gomso, a new South Africa will be?
Next year, something incredible is going to happen in Cape Town.
Yes, sir.
You say that it's been years of working on this particular production that we are going to be experiencing next year, South Africans. What does it mean for you to have this live event for the first time in our country?
I have two of the biggest, scariest things in my entire life and career. Next week I'll be in Los Angeles in the premiere of Mufasa, so I'll watch the whole movie. So I'll be there when the audience begins to start living with Ngomso, right? At the same time, at the back of my mind, I'm focused on my first concert ever in history, which I've been rehearsing for over a decade, being a guest star artist in many big properties, including Hans Zimmer Live. But now, knowing what we're building and the quality and caliber product that we're building, it has that, it's tension because it's something that's never been done. And the way we're producing my first concert, particularly in the manner that we're approaching how we're going to roll it out, I'm pretty much going to be tense between next week and July next year, my birthday. So it is what it is, you know.
Mr. Lebo M, thank you so much for making time for us. You are an inspiration, I have to say. And that story about resilience, because that's what we also learn when we come out of poverty and able to make it in somewhat of a sea, into a sea of abundance. And you've carried it with such grace.
Thank you so much.
Incredible. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it very much.
And all the best. And that's the reason why you got the call again.
Thank you.